Well, I'm exhausted, but I'm just stopping for a little break. And there's little Robin gone in there to pick out all the wee grubs that I've exposed by breaking up this ginormous stone. So there you can see my sledgehammer, trusty tool that is. And this was the first big rock that I pushed out of the top of the bank there. And then all the other pieces, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All the other pieces are from one big slab that was just too heavy to move. I couldn't even lever it. So, and there's no point in me even thinking about getting the sack trolley up there because it's impossible on an embankment, you know. Oh, I'm stuttering a wee bit now because I'm not tired. Okay, so this is what I've done. I'm clearing the space and cleaning it up in order to get some planting done in there. And you can see I've got a few shrubs here that I want to plant. So I've got a lovely cordyline, which will give this area a kind of a semi-tropical look. And I've got the beautiful cotoneaster, which of course is berries for the birds. And then I'll just pan along here and you can see the sort of plan that I'm doing. Now this plan is evolving as I'm working, right? So, this wee Robin, look, he's up and down. So I'm just looking for good spaces in which to plant because my approach to gardening is to disturb as little as possible. Cut back because then you'll have lots of regrowth. But it's basically try not to damage the roots of any plants that are already in there, including trees, even if it's trees that you don't want. Look at the smoke coming out of the top of my little chimney there. I have a little fire going in the stove in the studio, just in order to have one nice warm cosy place where I can retreat to sporadically, just to sort of relax and gather myself in order to keep going. So so far so good, and I've divided up the cotoneasters that were wedged into that window box. So there's more or less the places where I'm going to put them. All this beautiful earth here is from my compost heap and also from my compost bins. So I'm mixing the compost and the compost, so whatever I'm embedding into the bank is really going to have lots of food to kind of dig into and get going. Some more branches and stuff I have to move here. I've already cut them. I've just stashed them in there because they're very thorny and I didn't have the time to move them. And so you can see so far. Now, this is my plan. I'm just going to go and sit down over here. I've got my big wellies on. He sat there keeping guard, which is a pretty good job to be up to. Let me just turn this chair around and then as I talk you can see the lay of the land a bit. Okay. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's beautiful just to sit down. So, as I've been working, I've been thinking about, the continuing evolution of Bealtaine Cottage and the gardens and the woodland sanctuary. Because what I'm envisioning now is the cottage surrounded by a beautiful, colourful sort of buffer zone of shrubs and plants, thus making a garden of sorts. Like this, you know, my little rustic beds. So all around, say, the front of the cottage is this beautiful garden. And also around the back. So I thought I'll bring it around to the side as well. So this would be less of a woodland and more of a garden because it's so directly close to the cottage. And that way as well, as I get older, I will be able to tend my garden, and all the rest of the land will be woodland sanctuary. And the woodland sanctuary can just grow and grow and grow. And, you know, maybe half a dozen times a year, hopefully employ someone to come in for a day, maybe a day's work or 2 days' work, to do some coppicing and, you know, supplying the timber for the cottage, supplying the fuel for the cottage. So the driveway, that's really good exercise to keep doing that. And down along the front, down along the roadway, that's something that I will surely be able to keep going at. As long as my legs can carry me, I will be able to keep gardening. So that's kind of just, I suppose because it's coming up towards my birthday and I'm going to be 64 and I really want to envision the next 10 years. I mean, certainly up to the age of 74, all being well and good health, you know, keeping in. There shouldn't be any problems, and certainly my energy levels are very high and I eat well and I've got good muscle tone because, you know, the old saying, use it or lose it. Well, I've always used it. So, yeah. So this is just to give me, in my head, a clear image of where I'm going. And of course, the only way in which I can get that image complete in my mind's eye is to be out here working. And as I work then, my mind is free to explore avenues, explore issues, and come to conclusions which are going to be helpful to me. I suppose it's a bit like sitting down and having a discussion with a partner, except I don't have a partner, so I have to have that discussion with myself. Or Jack. So, look at this. I've got my wellies on and my woolly tights. So, oh, look at the boy. Oh, Mr. Jack. Oh. So this kind of tidies up the jumble inside my head, because I was, you know, all the way through this year, I was worrying about, not getting over to the tunnel to do some work over there, to clear, to plant, not getting over to the Lunacy garden, needing to prune the fruit trees. I missed that window of opportunity, and so I'm constantly sort of falling behind myself. So I suppose the first clue to how it was going to evolve was my decision that once the plastic on the polytunnel started to go, I would open up that polytunnel space, the plastic would come off, and the trees in there, including the vine, would be allowed to keep growing, because it's basically a nice little microclimate anyway in there, with or without the plastic. It's very sheltered. And so beyond a certain space around the cottage would be the self-sustaining, self-generating self-caring woodland sanctuary. And so that really appeals to me, and that allows me to free up the space to write, because I know a lot of you have been saying, well, I'd love to be able to get hold of this book about fairies that you're writing, Colette. I've had so little time this year for writing, and I have been beating myself up about not getting enough work done. So I have to pull in the reins, re-establish a firm pattern of work, and open up space for the things in my life that not only I want to be getting on with, but I need to be getting on with, which is my writing. So, that's about it. And you can see this lovely little garden around the cottage, you see. And it brings me great joy to be able to sit out here. And this is also a space that the boy likes to sit in as well. And we can see the mountain. So this is an ideal spot. And I know my children have said, oh, you know, Mum, you could do with a nice garden table and chairs out here. And I think to myself, no, that's not my lifestyle, a garden table and chairs. It's more a comfortable chair to sit in, and somewhere close by just to rest my cup of tea, and a little lightweight plastic table, which I already have anyway. And plastic does have its uses, and certainly for long-term outdoors in the Irish climate, it's perfect. So a little lightweight coffee-style garden table, perfect. Just pull that along with me, you know. So, interesting to have your feedback on this, you know, your thoughts on this. I can already visualise it, and so the nice sort of garden just around the cottage, kind of squeezed into little bits of the driveway, and the same here, up along here. So as I pull up in the car, I have a little garden, and when I want to come around and kind of sit in a nice spot during the summer, just outside the she shed here, this is perfect. So that's it. So what am I going to do with all these bits of stone? Well, I'll tell you. The reason why I wasn't too sad about breaking up the huge stone, which is a nice big piece of red sandstone, as you can see, is because I'm going to be making a little garden wall along here. Now, I've got some stones already in there, and they're covered with moss. I'm going to be pulling those out, like I've done along here, and rebuilding the wall. So I'm taking the little wall out about a foot, and then in behind that little wall, I'm going to be putting lots of little annual flowers, you know, seasonal flowers, and then the lovely colours and the shapes of various plants in along behind here. So I best crack on with it. Blessings to you all. Little robin, he's talking to me.